Now, as per the reports, Australia has revised its evidence level for student visa applications. So what does that mean for you? In this video, we'll try to explain what is this evidence level system, what new changes have come through from September 2025, and what it means for you as an international student. Without wasting much time, let's get into the video. So first thing first, let's understand what is this evidence level and why does it exist. Since 2016, Australia introduced SSVF, which is Streamlined Student Visa Framework. It reduced the number of student visa subclasses from 8 to just 2, which is subclass 500 and subclass 590, and it also introduced a single risk assessment framework for student visa applications. So the evidence level is basically a risk rating used by Australian government to decide how much documentation is needed for a student visa application, which is to demonstrate the funds you have to study here and evidence of English language requirement, which is by undertaking an English test such as IELTS, PTE or others. And every student visa application is assigned an evidence level. It's based on two things: your country of passport and an education provider in Australia. Now you might be wondering why this evidence level system? Well, it is there to protect the student visa integrity, to prevent any occurrence of fraud, and to ensure that only genuine students come to study here in Australia. So you might be wondering, how does it work? Well, first thing first, so as I mentioned earlier, there are two main factors to consider, which is your country of passport and the education provider you're applying for here in Australia. And Department of Home Affairs assign a risk rating to each of these two. And there are three levels that get assigned to the country of your passport and your education provider. These are level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 being considered as a low risk, whether it's a low risk country or a low risk education provider. Level 2 is a medium risk, which is a medium risk country and a medium risk education provider. And level 3 is a high risk, which means a high risk country and a high risk education provider. As I said, the risk ratings are actually assigned to both your country of passport and your education provider as well. And you might be wondering how the risk is measured. Well, it's given on the Department of Home Affairs website. They look at the things like visa refusals. So how many visas are getting refused from certain country, or for certain education provider, how many student visa holders applying for protection visas while they are here on student visa, any frauds that might be happening related to student visa, and others. And for education providers, their risk rating gets impacted by the number of visa outcomes. Now, to simplify this for you to understand, if you are a student from a low risk country and applying for a low risk provider, it's more likely your student visa application is streamlined, which means that you might not be required to provide an evidence of a financial capacity and English language requirements. However, if you are on the other side of the spectrum, which means that you are a student from a high risk country applying to either high risk provider or even a low or medium risk provider, you may have to provide an evidence for your financial capacity and for English language requirements as well. So ideally, if your country of your passport is in a low risk category, it works out better for you. Now, you might ask when and how often these evidence levels gets updated. Well, typically it happens at least twice a year, in March and in September. So the latest revision came in from September 2025, which is based on the data from the 1st of July 2024 to 30th of June 2025, basically the previous financial year. Now, officially, there are no lists provided by the department regarding countries or education providers, but you can work it out by using the Department of Home Affairs document checklist tool, which you can check yourself by going to the Department of Home Affairs website. And here you can select the country of your passport. You can choose your education provider, and then it'll give you an idea on what sort of documents that you will be required to submit at the time of your application. But again, just keep in mind that this gets updated at least twice a year. So it depends upon when you're watching this video. It's a good idea to check this anyways. We'll make sure that we'll put the link of this tool in the description box below. Now, you might be wondering what has changed in September 2025. Well, it's been reported that the evidence level for some countries and education providers has been revised. As I mentioned earlier, the department does not publish any reports or lists. They just update the providers and immigration consultants by sending a message through prisms that the evidence levels have been updated. And based on the information available on the internet, here are the revised evidence level for some of the countries. So if you see level level 1, we have Bangladesh and Sri Lanka now in the level 1 category. Level 2, you see India, Bhutan, Vietnam, China, and Nepal. In level 3, we got Fiji, Philippines, and Pakistan. Previously, some of these countries were in a different level. For example, India was in level 3. It has moved up to level 2 now, which means it has gone from a higher risk to medium risk. So as Vietnam as well, which was level 3, it has moved up to level 2. However, surprisingly, China has moved from level 1 to level 2. So these are the reported changes in terms of the level of the countries. Again, you can check this information by going to the document checklist tool and see if the financial capacity or English language requirements are required in your case or not, especially depending upon the country you're applying from, and also the education provider you're applying for as well. Your evidence requirements might have been changed. So what does this mean for students like yourself? Well, overall, it is a positive news for students coming from certain countries where the risk level has gone from level 3 to level 2 or level 2 to level 1. So students from India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Vietnam, and Bhutan, they are in a better off position now because they might have to provide less evidence for their financial capacity and English language requirements, especially if they're providing to low risk providers. In some cases, it might not be needed at all. But just keep in mind that Department of Home Affairs can request these or any other additional information at any time. So, and even if they may not require it, your education provider may have their own enrollment requirements as well. So you're not totally off the hook, which means that your education provider may ask you for these requirements, such as financial capacity or English language requirements, or department can actually ask you about these documents at any time as well. So it's always be good to be over prepared than under prepared, especially when it comes to documentation like financial capacity and English language requirements. It is just good for your peace of mind and for making the things more smoother. You might not be required to provide these documents at all, but hey, nobody knows when the Department of Home Affairs might require them. So it's always a good idea to have them prepared anyways. And I also highly recommend you to speak to a registered migration agent regarding to your specific scenario to understand better if you are required to provide these evidences or not, as they can legally provide you information for your specific scenario. But hopefully this gave you a bit of an idea on how this evidence level system works and some changes that has come into news from the last few days. If you find this information useful, make sure to share it with other friends as well, so they get to understand this system as well. If you would like to know more about studying in Australia, we've got plenty of resources on our website and on our YouTube channel and other social media channels as well. So make sure to follow along so you don't miss any updates. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.